In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the rear brake caliper on this Nissan Altima. Located right behind your rear wheel, and after we're done with this job, we will need to bleed the brakes, so keep in mind you do need some brake fluid for this job. If you need this or any other part for your car, check us out at 1A Auto. Let's get started. The first step is to remove the wheel. If you have hubcaps, it is easier to pull them off first. If not, you can just remove the lug nuts. These hubcaps should just pry right off with your hands. Now you can use a 21mm socket and remove all 5 lug nuts and then pull the wheel off. From the backside of the caliper, let's remove the 2 14mm bolts that hold the caliper onto the bracket. Typically I remove the entire bracket and caliper assembly, but this top bolt is going to be a challenge to reach if I don't remove the caliper first, so I'm going to do it this way. Once again, 14mm socket, remove them both. Leave this one in a couple threads so I can hold it on while you take the bottom one off. Okay, take this out. This is the entire slider pin assembly in this case. Take this out, pull the caliper right off and put it on the upper control arm so that it doesn't hang and put pressure on the brake hose. Now I can use a 19mm wrench to break this free a lot easier. Okay. If you have a ratchet that can get in here, use it. Remove this most of the way. Before you remove it completely, let's remove the bottom one. On this one I can fit a power tool. Take this out, finish removing the top one, and then remove the caliper bracket with the pads and set them aside. I have my new caliper bracket on the bench and we're going to prepare this for installation. All that requires is a little bit of brake grease or silicone paste that's rated for brakes right on these 2 areas, and then of course inside the bores of the caliper bracket where the slider pins go. When you do add grease here, you don't need a lot. If you put too much, it'll squeeze out and get onto your pads and rotors after the anti-rattle clips get put on. So you just need a thin layer, just enough to prevent rust from building up in the future. Take the anti-rattle clips, slide them on, make sure they snap in. Flip this over and do the same on this side. I'm going to add some grease, or silicone paste in my case, to the inside of these boots. This is going to act as a reserve of grease as the slider pins operate over time. I'm going to do this to both. Don't put too much, but you do want to add a little. It's going to get inside these folds of the boot, and that's going to, like I said, help it stay lubricated for a long time. I have both of my brackets right here on the bench, and I'm going to take one pad off and just transfer it over to the new bracket one at a time. I'm going to inspect these. These look like they're in great shape, and this one was the inboard pad, so I'm going to slide this in here, then take the outboard pad, slide this in here, and we can put this bracket back on the vehicle once both pads are installed. Now if they keep wanting to fall off, of course you can install them once this is on the vehicle. Slide the caliper and the pads over the rotor and start in the 2 bolts. .62 foot-pounds is the torque for both of these. All right, take the new caliper, slide it over. The pin that has the rubber bushing is going to go on the top. And the pin that does not have a rubber bushing goes on the bottom. The torque for both of these is 32 foot-pounds. I'm going to loosen up the bleeder screw. Of course, take off this cap first, but this will allow the caliper to start gravity bleeding as soon as the hose goes on. Use an 8mm wrench or socket, crack this free. All right, just leave it like that. With a collection bucket underneath, remove the banjo bolt off of the old caliper. Brake fluid will leak at this point, so that's why you want to catch it with a collection bucket. Remove the banjo bolt and make sure the 2 copper washers that are on the hose come off. Sometimes they get stuck, and I'll show you a trick for that. You can use some pliers, pinch it, and it pops right off. The other one came off already, so we're good to go. Take the new banjo bolt and with a new copper washer, slide it through the hose. Put a new washer on the other side as well. Sandwich the hose in between the two. Start the bolt into the caliper, making sure that this hook goes into the hole that's provided so that the brake hose can be lined up perfectly. The new banjo bolt is a 12 millimeter in size. Snug it up so it stops leaking. Now we can torque it. While we do that, the gravity bleed is going to continue. The torque for this banjo bolt is 15 foot-pounds. And perfect timing with the brake fluid bleeding through. That's been about 10-15 seconds. There's no air coming out anymore. It's just clean brake fluid. So I'm going to close this off. Make sure this is nice and snug. About 1/8 of a turn after it bottoms out should be plenty. We're going to clean this off with some brake parts cleaner. And at this point, the air should be bled out of the caliper. However, if you feel that there is air in the system, you want to perform a full manual brake bleed at the end of the job, which you will see how to do at the end of the video. Get all the brake fluid off the caliper and off of the bleeder screw, as well as any that you got on the brake hose. Once you're done, cap this off, put the wheel back on, start on all 5 lug nuts. We'll bottom them out in a cross pattern, and also in a cross pattern, we're going to torque them to 83 foot-pounds. "83 foot-pounds in a cross pattern, here we go. Double check them all. If your wheel had hubcaps, put them on now, and make sure that when you put them on, this cutout goes around the valve stem, otherwise the hubcap won't go on. Take it for a road test. Under the hood, you'll find the brake master cylinder on the driver's side, right behind the air filter housing. Wipe off any debris that might be around the cap, so that when you remove it, none of it gets inside the master cylinder. Turn the cap counterclockwise and pop it off. And as you'll see right on the cap, it says that it takes .3 brake fluid, so make sure you have plenty on hand for this brake bleed. What I'm going to do first is actually remove the fluid that's already in the master cylinder. I like to start with fresh fluid, and to do that, there's a little screen in here that you have to pull up on. Now, sometimes these get stuck, so we might have to use a pocket screwdriver or a little pick to pull this up. Otherwise, you cannot remove the old brake fluid to begin with. There it is. Set that aside. Now you can use anything that will extract brake fluid safely to remove the old fluid from the reservoir. I'm going to use a vacuum pump with a little reservoir and suck it all out. If you have a fluid extractor, you could use that, or anything that'll fit down there that'll remove the brake fluid. All right, that's about as much as I'm going to be able to remove. You'll never be able to remove 100% of it, but the more you can get out, the better, so that you can start with more fresh fluid. Put this little screen back in so that when you add brake fluid, everything gets filtered, just in case. Top this off with clean brake fluid all the way up to the max line. You can see it right there. You may need a funnel for this, since the cowl will actually be in the way of the master cylinder for you to top it off with brake fluid. Go slow, because these screens often prevent the brake fluid from flowing in very fast. That one bottle filled it up completely, so let's cap off the master cylinder so that debris and moisture don't get in. Brake fluid is hydroscopic, so it does absorb moisture. And now let's begin the brake bleed. The bleed sequence for this vehicle starts at the right front wheel, move over to the left front and bleed that, then top off the master cylinder, then move over to the right rear, and then the left rear is where you're going to end. Now, if you do need to repeat the process after this, if you feel that the brake pedal is not firm enough and you think you still have air in the system, repeat the process in the same sequence. And of course, don't forget to top off the master cylinder after every other wheel. Now we're at the right front caliper, and I have an assistant in the vehicle ready to pump up that brake pedal to create pressure in the system. Go ahead and pump. All right, they're holding, so I'm going to put this hose on. This will direct the flow of brake fluid so it doesn't go all over the place. And with a 10mm wrench, I'm going to open this up while they hold. And fluid comes out. Once the pedal reaches the floor, we can close this off. Go ahead and pump again. All right, we just want to do this until we see no air bubbles. This was a clean stream of brake fluid, so let's do it one more time. All right, this is nice clean fluid with no air bubbles. You can let go of the brake pedal now. I'm going to remove this. If you spilt any brake fluid, use brake parts cleaner to clean this off. And once it's dried up, go ahead and cap the bleeder screw off. Now we'll move on to the left front. After the 2 front wheels, it's time to top off the master cylinder. So remove the cap and fill it up to the max line. Once it's full, put this back on. With the master cylinder topped off, we're now at the right rear wheel. This is our 3rd caliper. I'm going to remove the bleeder screw cap, and the assistant in the vehicle can go ahead and pump. They're holding pressure. This is an 8mm bleeder screw now, so downsize from the front. Go ahead and open this up while they're holding pressure. And once the pedal has reached the floor, you can close it up and go ahead and pump again. All right, they're holding, going to open again. And let's do this again. Go ahead and pump. All right, this was clean. Let's do it one more time. Go ahead and pump. Perfect. You can release the brake pedal. Take this off, and once again, if any spilt, you can go ahead and clean this off with brake parts cleaner. Wipe it off, and cap off the bleeder screw so it doesn't get debris in there. Move over to the left rear wheel and do the same thing. Now that we're all done, let's top off the master cylinder one last time. Take the cap off and fill it up all the way to the top. With it full, close this off, and if you need to continue bleeding, go ahead until your brake pedal feels nice and firm with the engine off. But if you think you are completely done with the brake bleed, the wheel torque is 83 foot-pounds, so put all the wheels back on and take it for a road test. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful. If you have anything to add, leave it in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to check us out at 1A Auto for any car parts that you might need. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so you can stay up to date with all of our latest content. Thanks for watching.